He was smiling as I walked out of his office. He thought my project would launch his career into the stratosphere. I was smiling too, because I had a surprise for him. A small technical glitch, and he couldn't even imagine how that glitch would change the company's future. My name is Mark Peterson. I'm 52 years old, and for 23 years, I was a senior systems engineer at Innovate Dynamics, a tech firm based in Austin, Texas. That morning, I had just completed my life's work, Project Quantum. It was an AI system designed to optimize our company's entire logistics network, promising a 40% efficiency boost that would leave our competitors in the dust for years. I had poured 2 years of my life, my nights, and my weekends into this project. My manager, David Vance, had seemed supportive from the beginning. "You're doing great work, Mark," he'd say. "This project is going to make us both legends." It took me a while to realize that when he said us, he really meant me. For the last 6 months, he'd been presenting my progress reports to upper management under his own name, passing off my breakthroughs in meetings as his own ideas. His email replies grew shorter, and I started being left out of key meetings. The warning bells were ringing, and I wasn't ignoring them. That day, I handed David the final, critical presentation file for the project. "This is it, David," I said. "It's all in there, fully operational." His eyes gleamed with ambition as he reviewed the file. "Perfect, Mark," he said. "I'll handle the presentation to the board. You've been in the trenches. You don't need the stress of the presentation. I've got this." He shook my hand, patted me on the shoulder, and saw me out of his office. 5 minutes later, Jessica from Human Resources was standing at my desk. David was with her, but he couldn't meet my eyes. "Mark," Jessica said, "due to the ongoing corporate restructuring, we've made the decision to eliminate your position." I wasn't shocked. Disappointed, yes, but not surprised. I had been expecting this move. I nodded silently. "I understand," I said. The younger engineers in the office looked at me with a mixture of pity and fear. As I packed my belongings, David watched me with the smug air of a triumphant general. I said nothing. I didn't yell, I didn't demand an explanation. I just filled my box with personal items and walked out of the building, escorted by security. Sitting in my car, looking back at the building where I'd spent 23 years, only one thing was on my mind. The board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. David was about to give the presentation of his life. He was going to climb to the peak of his career on the back of my project, my work. But there was something David didn't know. When I gave him Project Quantum, I had planted a small seed inside, a digital Trojan horse. It wasn't malware. On the contrary, it was a system of pure justice. It was designed to do one thing: reveal the truth. It was a piece of code hidden in the 12th slide, the most critical part of the presentation, covering budget and profitability projections. The moment he opened that slide, the system would project a different presentation I had prepared. When I got home, my wife Sarah greeted me with a worried look. "I was let go," I said calmly. She hugged me. "What are we going to do?" she asked. "Don't worry," I told her. "We're just going to wait one day. Tomorrow, everything will be different." I didn't sleep that night. I opened my laptop and waited. The copy of the presentation I gave David was linked to my private server. My script sent me a notification every time the file was opened. Throughout the night, I watched David open the file 17 times to rehearse his presentation. With each notification, I confirmed that my trap was still there, armed and waiting. In the morning, I sent a brief email to Arthur Hayes, the only board member who had genuinely appreciated my work over the years. "Mr. Hayes, I urge you to pay close attention to the Project Quantum presentation from David Vance today. You might find the 12th slide particularly interesting. Regards, Mark Peterson." At 10:15 a.m., I got a notification on my phone. Presentation file opened. The meeting had begun. I could picture the boardroom in my mind. David, with his charismatic style, impressing the board members, selling my sentences as if they were his own brilliant insights. I could imagine him breezing through the first 11 slides. With each passing slide, my heart beat a little faster. And then, the moment I was waiting for. 10:43 a.m. The exact moment David must have clicked on the 12th slide. My system activated. A few seconds later, my phone rang. It was Leo, one of the junior engineers at the company. His voice was a hushed and excited whisper. "Mark, what did you do?" he said. "All hell is breaking loose in the boardroom." "What are you seeing, Leo?" I asked calmly. David was about to show the budget numbers when the screen froze, he said, out of breath. Then suddenly, the words Project Quantum, Original Developer's Log, Mark Peterson, appeared on the screen. After that, time-stamped code screens with your name, screenshots of old emails you sent to David explaining your ideas, the project's first drafts. Everything started playing like an automatic slideshow. David turned pale. He tried to shut down the laptop, but the system was locked. The CEO shot to his feet. "It's absolute chaos in there." I smiled. "Thanks for the update, Leo," I said, and hung up. My trap had worked perfectly. David was smiling when I was fired. Now, his entire career, all his lies, were being shattered on a giant screen for everyone to see. An hour later, I received a call from the CEO's private number. "Mark, get to the office, now," he said. His voice was firm, but not angry. "You have a lot to explain, and I suspect we have a lot to listen to." When I returned to the company, the same security guard who had escorted me out yesterday opened the door for me with respect. When I entered the boardroom, the entire board was there. David was gone. I told them everything. I showed them the documentation of how David had systematically stolen my ideas, how he had pushed me out of the project, and finally, how he had taken full ownership and had me fired. That day, David didn't just lose his job. The company filed a lawsuit against him for attempted intellectual property theft and corporate fraud. His reputation in the industry was destroyed, never to recover. As for me, I didn't return to my old position. The CEO created a new role that would report directly to him, Director of Research and Development. They asked me to lead Project Quantum and to build my own team. Now, I sit in the large corner office that once belonged to David. Sometimes I look out the window and think about that day. They thought they were betraying me, but they actually did me the biggest favor of my life. They had forgotten that the greatest weapons of the quiet engineer they underestimated were code and patience. They tried to steal a project. I taught them that true work and true intellect can never be stolen.